Americans now receiving stimulus checks due to COVID-19.
Hell yeah, man! It's raining money, bitches!
Nothing like a microscopic virus to show humans that they aren't in control. Now, something interesting is happening. Something interesting. Even conservatives are in favor of left-wing policies because of this pandemic. So it's funny because it takes a pandemic to evoke that response in people, to evoke that same response in people. Because all before it was, you're poor because you're lazy. Pull yourself up by the bootstraps, put your nose to the grindstone, pound the pavement, work hard, bust your ass, put your head down, be obedient, and just work harder. You're lazy. But now, since they have a personal experience with not having enough money, not having necessities because of this pandemic, now they're thinking, wait, well, maybe healthcare should be covered. Maybe people should have basic necessities. Maybe you can't just let people starve to death in an industrialized nation. But they didn't care before, because why? People only care when it affects them personally. They have to stick their hand in fire to know that it burns. Because most people, they think of themselves as honest, hardworking people trying to be productive members of society. Just trying to be a productive member of society. Because I'm not lazy. You aren't lazy. You're honest. You are trying to be a productive member of society. So if you're poor, if you don't have basic necessities, it's not because you're lazy. No, because you're honest. It must have something to do with the system now. But all before, it's just you're lazy, pull yourself up by the bootstraps. But interesting how it takes a pandemic to evoke that response in people. So with conservatives agreeing with left-wing policies, I agree. But let's just expand that. Just expand that to healthcare. Just expand that to UBI, Universal Basic Income. Just expand that to social safety net program. Just expand that to the point where every citizen has, every person. I don't give a damn if they're legal citizens, undocumented. I don't give a damn about that bullshit. Fuck the bureaucracy, right? We just need to ensure that every person has their basic necessities covered, right? And where having the basic necessities covered, where that would get you? Not to some communist's wet dream. No, where that would get you? That would get you the basic standard of every other industrialized nation. That's where that would get you. It's not some type of pipe dream fantasy. It's just the basics. It's interesting because every time it's time to go to war, or it's time for big business to get a bailout. And the federal government literally pulls trillions out of thin air. No one bats an eye. No one cares, right? No one has any qualms about that whatsoever. But as soon as it's time to take care of the people, it's, how are we going to pay for that? How are we going to pay for that? Yeah, but how are we going to pay for that? How are we going to pay for that? I don't understand. You know, people are so fixated on trying to prevent people from taking advantage of the system, but I'm more worried about the system taking advantage of the people. You know, that just shows you how fucking stupid the system is. You know, that's fucked up. You have people defending billionaires, people defending an inherently exploitative system. It's like, are you critically thinking about the inner workings of the system, or are you just regurgitating propaganda? Everybody's a socialist during crisis. That's funny. You know, this pandemic is really giving us the slap in the face and the kick in the ass that we needed as a society. Because people are starting to realize that civility is a sham, that classism is a facade, that pretty much everyone was one paycheck away from homelessness, and that poor people are not inherently inferior. You know, people are starting to realize that because of this pandemic. Nothing like a virus that doesn't discriminate against race, gender, religion, socioeconomic class, just to show humans. Look, man, all of this stuff that you're so beholden to is socially constructed bullshit. We needed this wake-up call because maybe this will be enough to make us appreciate tranquility. Maybe this will make us become a more compassionate society. Maybe this will make us realize that we need to use the scientific method and the resources to fuel human potential. Maybe this virus, this pandemic, will help us realize that. Hopefully. But this just goes to show, though, you know, you hear people all the time, you know, people are poor, people are in debt, etc., etc. Well, why can't we just print money? No, you can't print money because of inflation and you know, inflation, communism, blah, 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 inflation and stuff that, you know, some capitalist told me to benefit himself, so I just keep regurgitating it like a mindless drone. Yeah. But they're literally printing money because you can, because it's literally worthless pieces of paper with no intrinsic value. No inherent value whatsoever than the value that humans imbue in it or ascribe to it. No shit, they can literally print money. You know what? Fuck the bureaucracy. Print money. Over 26 million people filed for unemployment benefits. And that number is steadily increasing. The unemployment rate during the Great Depression was 24.9. And right now, as in the making of this video, that's past 20%. And it's projected to blow the Great Depression out of the water, right? You know, it just goes to show that, you know, capitalism is literally just not flat out, outright, downright, not a good system. It's just not. Because whenever there's a depression due to the inherent structure of the system, you know, every, you know, couple years, every 10 years or so, there's going to be a recession or depression, or if there's some type of catastrophe such as a pandemic, the economy is going to collapse, or something like a technological singularity where AI and automation becomes readily available and affordable enough so that businesses replace human workers with automation. And then, you know, there's just rampant unemployment. But these things are inherent in the structure of capitalism. You know, late stage capitalism just makes it more apparent, right? Just makes it more apparent. The economy, you know, when you have a primarily a service economy, because that's what America has, you know, an economy where people pay for, you know, goods and services, right? Just consumer goods, consumer services. And you basically say, stay inside, stay home, you can't buy anything. You know, of course the economy is going to collapse. But just think about what that says about the stability of your economy. I mean, think about it. You know, most jobs, the overwhelming majority of jobs literally serve no purpose. They literally serve no function to benefit society in any way whatsoever. It's literally just individuals using marketing to manipulate people to buy stuff that they don't need. And that's when you stop the idea, the notion that if you stop people from buying frivolous items, that your entire economy collapses. Just goes to show the lack of structural integrity that your economy has. Think about it. All of this stuff, this economy, this whole entire system is ran off of debt. I mean, this entire economy is ran off of people being in debt. Think about it. If everybody just collectively said, well, you know what? I'm not going to spend money on things that I don't need. And they just started saving their money, the economy would collapse. If everybody went to the bank and made a withdrawal, the economy would collapse. And that's funny because people that save money are considered to be responsible. But if everyone saved their money, the economy would collapse. That's interesting on how how stupid, how dumb you would have to be to build an economy based off of that concept. The United States is bizarre. A country with an economy based off of debt. When you have a citizen consumer debt that is higher than the GDP of every other country, I think that's a sign that your economic system is inherently flawed. I mean, just think about that. Let me repeat that. The United States citizen civilian consumer debt is higher than the GDP of every other country except itself. That just goes to show you how stupid, how dumb the system is, man. Like, think about it. This system wouldn't even be able to perpetuate itself without a stupid populace. Because advertisement, marketing, social engineering, propaganda, these things are used to manipulate people to buy, to purchase things, to purchase novelty consumer goods, blind consumerism. That's just the default. The default consensus is that, oh, you're in debt. You assume, you look at an American, you assume that they're in debt. The price of a house, no one can afford that. Oh, you just get a loan. You're in debt. You go to college, you're in debt. You buy a car, you're in debt. Everybody's just in debt. But you want to know something? I hear all of this talk about inflation and stimulating the economy, right? But you want to know how many people, you want to know how much money, or you want to know the percentage of money that 80% of people have? Take a guess. Take a guess. Let me repeat that. What do you think the percentage of money that 80% of people have? 7%. So the overwhelming majority of people only have 7% of the money. So where's the rest of that money? You guessed it, the 1%. So you're telling me the overwhelming majority of the actual money belongs to the 1%, where it's essentially dead to the economy. Because there's only so many islands you can buy. There's only so many armies you can buy. There's only so many cars you can buy. There's only so many yachts you can buy. But I hear people defending billionaires and, all this paying these high ass taxes and they worked hard for that money. Just stop it, man. Stop it. Sound ridiculous. Because you obviously, if you're peddling that talking point, the bootstrap theory, and all this other nonsense, you obviously don't understand the basic mathematics of the situation. It's like, all you have to do is just do basic math. It's almost as if after you get past basic necessities and primal human urges, that there's a diminishing return on the pleasure that you can receive
from novelty goods. No, it's almost as if clothes that you make from scratch aren't significantly different than more expensive clothes with some random guy's name on it. You know, humans are so tribal. Humans are so hierarchical. They want to create some type of hierarchy that says, I'm better than you, you're inferior to me. And so what they do is they want to take things that occur in nature. They want to take things that are governed by the fundamental forces of physics, and they want to somehow form that to mold into their own personal ideology, their own personal human social constructs. But here's the thing. Once you understand the basics, once you understand the fundamentals of everything, then you will realize how preposterous that is. You see, these rich people, they want to make it seem like they're somehow inherently, intrinsically better than you because they have all of these fancy, shiny toys. But here's the thing. That fancy sports car that rich guy has, it's not significantly different than the car that the guy that works at the local grocery store has. Because if you break it down to the fundamentals, what is a car? What is a vehicle? Big hunk of metal that goes really fast. That's what it is, right? And you take that same concept and you apply it to everything. Literally everything, right? It's like this. Not people, you know, they talk about, oh, that has chemicals in it. That's bad for you. It has chemicals in it. Literally everything is chemicals. Literally everything, right? So if you take it down, you boil it down, everything, boil it down to what is the essence of this thing. And when I say essence, I'm not talking about the divine, mystical essence that, you know, religious people, for example, like to ascribe to things as if some omnipotent deity imbued everything with some type of essence. That's not what I'm talking about. That's utter bullshit, right? Pseudoscience, woo-woo, quackery, horse shit, right? I'm talking about, if you boil down everything, what do humans consider a thing? Like, what do humans consider as this thing? Let's take the car, for example, right? We call this big hunk of metal a car or a vehicle. But what is that? It's a bunch of subatomic particles, right? A car is a big hunk of subatomic particles. Now, what if I knock out a couple hundred subatomic particles, right? Is it still a car if I knock out 100 subatomic particles? What about 1,000,000? What about 1,000,000,000? You know, you see what I'm getting at? It's just a social construct. That's literally everything. You know, just because you've obtained this arbitrarily deemed metric of human success, money, you know, that doesn't all of a sudden change your psychology, or doesn't change who you are as an animal, right? Doesn't change your species or anything like that. But people like to think that it does. People like to think that it makes them somehow better. Like, if you take the primal human urges, stimulation, food, water, shelter, sex, dopamine rush, you know, things like that.
Let's take, for example, what do a lot of people like? They like sex and they like drugs. Let's take coke and hookers, right? You know, everybody likes coke and hookers. Poor people like coke and hookers. Rich people like coke and hookers. No, I don't give a damn about the specifics. I'm just boiling all of this instant stimulation down and I'm calling it coke and hookers, right? First you got your quote-unquote, your low-quality coke and hookers, you know? You got your $5 crack whore on the corner. And you got a crack rock, right? That's your low-quality coke and hookers. Then you got some cocaine, but it's cut with a bunch of random horse shit, right? Bunch of random bullshit. You don't even know what the hell's in it. Fentanyl, you don't know what the hell's in it. Just cut with a bunch of bullshit. And you got a more expensive prostitute. Now you get a little bit of more money to your name. Now you got high quality cocaine. You got some good high quality blow, right? And you got a high-end escort. But what is the difference between all of those? There's not much difference. It's basically the same thing. But humans, they like to put themselves in some type of hierarchy, some type of us versus them tribalism that makes themselves think that they're better than some other group of people to boost their ego or some other primal, primitive urge. Now that we understand that once you understand the basics of logic, mathematics, and science, that, you know, you can't really expound much on that in terms of human social constructs from an empirical standpoint, right? A carbon atom is a carbon atom no matter what you call it, or, you know, whatever else you want to add on to that. You know, a rose by any other name smells just as sweet. But you know what is a tactic that manipulates the perception of how things are perceived, right? So this is how humans get around that. So you can't, like I said, you can't expound on the basics, right? You can't really expound too much. But what you can do to make it appear like you're still better than the other group is you can take something naturally occurring and you can taint it, right? So instead of taking that natural resource and making it better, you take it and you taint it. You make it worse. You make it worse, and then you give everybody the worst one. Everyone has to get the worst tainted resource. And then you take the already naturally occurring resource and you hoard it, and then you sell it to people, right? I.e. drinking water, right? Water. Energy, right? You basically have these giant food mega corporations, and they hoard the resources. They take the resources from developing nations, they taint them, and then they sell the resource in its natural state and market it as if it's some better product, right? As if it's some inherently better product, when really it's naturally occurring, and they take the one that's naturally occurring and they taint it. You have these oil barons,
in an age of technological advancement, technological revolution, you still have oil barons, you know, an obsolete energy source. And all of the scientific discoveries and scientific breakthroughs that we have as a collective human species, all of that is thrown in the garbage just so a small group of people can make money. All of that human potential thrown away so some guy can hoard a bunch of pieces of paper. It's disappointing, it's upsetting, it's depressing. Speaking of shoehorning in antiquated, obsolete practices, let's talk about the stock market, the Great Depression. You know, what actually happened, right? What actually happened? Some artificial human construct like the stock market crashed. It crashed. What is that? A bunch of numbers that bunch of primates made up? Sure. But the real world consequences of that were definitely a thing. They had people living in boxes. They had people starving. Right? Now, how dumb is that? So you're telling me you have the knowledge to make a progressive society. You have the resources to make a progressive society. But you take all of that and you burn it and throw it out the window for some made-up construct. How dumb is that? And you base your entire society off of that concept. That just goes to show how primitive, archaic, antiquated, and obsolete your system is. You know, people are always talking about, oh, invest in stocks. You know, you want to be a responsible person with money. You want to be responsible with money. Invest in stocks, and you know, it's such the responsible, financially literate thing to do. Invest in stocks. But you know, they say, no, the lottery. The lottery, if you play the lottery, it's just the tax for the stupid. It's the idiot tax, it's irresponsible. Just tax some people that don't understand math. But this is how I look at it, right? Stocks, gambling, lottery, all that bullshit. Stocks. That's right. Stocks. Let's talk about stocks. Stocks is gambling for yuppies. Right? It's no different. Now let's talk about gold. Let's talk about precious metals. Every time there's some type of crisis, you have people stockpiling gold and silver. Oh man, you gotta stockpile those precious metals, man, because they have intrinsic value. No, they don't. They have the same intrinsic value as money. That's interesting. Because you know why humans arbitrarily picked gold as the thing with intrinsic value? You know why? It's not because it's more useful than any other metal. No, they picked it because it's shiny. It's shiny. Oh, it's rare. Yeah, okay. Okay. Sure. Go ahead and believe that if you want. Right? No, they picked it because it's shiny. Hunk of metal, you know, primitive primate in the wild seas. You know, they find this shiny hunk of metal. Ooh, I like shiny things. That's how my primitive lizard brain is evolved. And there you go. You mix that with tribalism, and you give people nuclear weapons, and you know, and there you go. You know, mix tribalism with nuclear weapons, and you have all of this. But yeah, it doesn't have any more intrinsic value than any other thing. That's why when I say, I'm not saying, see, that's the thing, it's not literally just the money, the actual paper. It's not about that. It's about the concept of behind that paper, i.e. capitalism. Because you can replace the money with any other made up arbitrary item that you ascribe value to. But it's about how that item and how that concept and construct is used. Like I said, man, in capitalism, specifically late stage capitalism, due to either a feature of the system being that every few years or so the economy crashes, due to that or due to some type of catastrophe, or due to the populace collectively deciding that, hey, I'm going to try to be a rational thinker, and I'm actually content with what I have, and I'm not going to be a blind consumer and contribute to a system that is inherently exploitative, or due to a technological singularity where AI and automation become cheap enough for companies to use, and they replace human laborers with AI and technology and automation. When either of any of those things happen, you will have rampant poverty, rampant unemployment, rampant poverty, because that is a design of the system. That is a feature of the system, not a bug, right? And when that happens, some sort of UBI, universal basic income, will become a necessity, or a complete and utter demise of your system. And that demise will be from itself. It would have sown the seeds of its own destruction. Either that or revamp the entire system as we know it. You see, I'm not advocating for any specific ideologies, any specific predefined ideology. No, I'm not. See, that's not critical thinking, right? No, but don't become a zealot, right? Think for yourself, right? Think for yourself. The only thing that I'm advocating is skepticism, using the scientific method, logic and reason, to pervert the universe, to form the universe to our desires, our wills and desires, and the noble pursuit of human potential. Reaching the noble pursuit of human potential. Using the technology and the resources that we have to actually make a progressive society. And whatever system is encompassed in that, whatever system is inadvertently synonymous with that, No, that's okay. I don't care, right? Because I don't really care about the specific terms that you use. I'm not really into that. I care about the concept, right? No, you want to be a rational thinker? You want to be a skeptic? Here's some things that you can do, right? Challenge your own beliefs. Don't be so embedded in what you believe. Stay curious. Question everything. Doesn't matter if it's a fundamental core belief, challenge it. Doesn't matter if challenging that belief resorts to you believing something that is uncomfortable. Because the truth doesn't care about your feelings, right? Be unbiased, right? Here's the thing. Science is right, whether or not you believe in it, right? Science is right, whether you believe in it or not. So adopt actions and habits, behaviors that are the right thing to do objectively, in respect to some agreed upon goal, whether you believe in it or not, right? If I take a sword and lop a guy's head off, that's not in his best interest. And what is the goal, you ask? Well-being, right? You may say, well, everyone doesn't agree with that goal. And I would say everyone's not a rational actor. You're assuming that everyone's a rational actor, right? Because that goal, whether or not he believed in it, would be objectively correct or not correct. See, when we have a goal, we agree upon a goal, the actions that are either for that goal or against that goal can be objectively assessed. Well-being seems to be what people care about. It seems to be, they might not outright say it, but that seems to be the de facto what people care about. I would say well-being, the quest of human potential, our morbid curiosity, this innate curiosity that we have as humans, and reaching that potential. And I would say perverting the universe, perverting nature, taking things that occur naturally and altering them in a way that benefits us, right? In a way, altering them to suit our desires. That seems to be the de facto things that people care about and people want to pursue. Let's talk about rationality. See, here's the thing about rationality. It's not about knowing knowledge, but it's about knowing when to use knowledge. No, it's not about knowing information. It's about knowing when to use information. See, it doesn't matter that you have the correct answer. You may have the correct answer due to pure chance, but are you rationally justified in that answer? See, the methodology on how you get to that answer is more important than the actual answer. Right? Falsifiability. If you make a claim, it has to be able to be falsified. if it can't be falsified, then it's not worthy of debate, right? If it can be asserted without evidence, it can be dismissed without evidence, right? The burden of proof is on the party making the claim. A good thing to practice is intellectual humility, right? Admitting when you don't know something, admitting when you're wrong, being open to new information and new ideas and different points of view. And let's take a virus as an example. You know, a lot of people, they think that their time and place is somehow exempt from catastrophe or mass extinction. A good rule of thumb to go by is it can happen again and it can happen here. It can happen again and it can happen here, right? Every time something happens, something bad happens, right? People are like, well, you know, that was back then, that was back then. That's not gonna happen now. Then, when it happens now, they're like, well, that's over there in some other place. That's not gonna happen where I live. And with that line of thinking, that is how you become susceptible to catastrophe, because you think that you're too good for something bad to happen to you. And that is the focal point. That is the core notion of American exceptionalism. Americans are arrogantly ignorant. Americans are arrogantly stupid. Like, this is what American exceptionalism is. They think that just because they're America, that they're somehow exceptional, that they're somehow superior to everyone else. They think that because they call themselves America, that they're somehow exempt from the consequences of reality. This vitriolic, patriotic, arrogant stupidity. I'm stupid and I'm loud and proud about it. But here's the thing. These people act as if a mass extinction cares about their human social constructs. A mass extinction doesn't care about your race, gender, religion, political affiliation, or socioeconomic class. But these people are so caught up and embedded in this exceptionalism dogma that it clouds their judgment and their ability to make rational decisions based off evidence, right? They take a conclusion that they want to be the truth and they act as if it is the truth, right? This wishful thinking rather than engaging in reality. When you engage with reality, you make better decisions. You make better decisions engaging in reality. Let's talk about essential workers. You see these corporations and businesses giving out these empty platitudes, talking about, thank you, essential workers. We appreciate the essential workers. But really, all you're doing is you're priming the populace to accept potential casualties caused by making your employees work through a pandemic just to make you money. That's what you're actually doing. All of that is under a facade of appreciation. But in actuality, these corporations don't care and never did care about the employees or the working class or the citizens. They only care about that bottom line. You can ignore reality, but you can't ignore the consequences of ignoring reality. You know, the truth, facts, science, these things will stand as facts, truth, regardless if you feel that a certain way about them, or you don't want them to be the case, or you ignore them, or you act as if they're false. Doesn't matter. Facts don't care about your feelings, you know. You really have people thinking like, well, you know, I never died before, so this ain't gonna kill me. I never died before, so, you know, this ain't gonna kill me, you know. This ain't gonna kill me. Nah, never died before, so, you know. You got people really thinking like that, right? Oh, this is inconvenient for me, so I'm gonna just act like it doesn't exist, you know. Inconvenience to me, I'm gonna just ignore it, you know. It's funny how this pandemic is giving society the reality check that it desperately needed. Just think about it. All before this happened, no, it was just the common thing. It was socially acceptable to call a low-wage worker a loser. You know, you just say, haha, look at that guy, he works a minimum wage job, he's a loser, and then everybody would just laugh and, you know, no one cared, you know. But now, when they realize that these people that are busting their ass for scraps and a thankless job to basically run society, right? These people that are on the front lines, literally risking their lives to keep society running. Now people realizing how important these jobs and these people are, right? They're realizing that it's not just about some dumb social construct of or hierarchy that, you know, that's just some made up bullshit. It's actually about the people, you know. You know, who would have thought, you know? But there's some silver lining in all of this. There's some good in all of this bad, right? Because people are quarantined, there's less pollution, right? There's less pollution in the atmosphere. The air's cleaner. There's less waste. Habitat restoration. Animals are returning to their natural habitats because of the lack of human interference. You know, I think that this is going to really change the way that we do certain things. Like, it's going to be a before this pandemic and after this pandemic, right? Like, then we're going to be more, as a society, we're going to be more cognizant of, you know, personal hygiene, you know, gathering large crowds, probably certain practices like handshakes, they will probably become obsolete. You know, people are just going to be more aware and cognizant and mindful of how they live and how they interact with people. But you know one thing that I'll just never understand? I'll just never understand this, right? With literally, we have the collective knowledge of humanity literally in the palm of our hands. And some people use that to spread misinformation. All of this information that is readily available, and people still believe in conspiracy theories and pseudoscience. Like, you can literally learn anything that you want. Like, you literally, pretty much everybody walks around with a supercomputer in their pocket. Their face is buried in a supercomputer. They're just staring at it, using it all day. You can learn literally anything you want. Collective knowledge of humanity. But you use it for, instant stimulation and spreading misinformation. That disgusts me. That upsets me. That's just fucking disgusting. That fucking baffles me. I'm fucking flabbergasted. We have the potential to improve after crisis. Maybe this will make us realize as a society, maybe that'll make us realize that we need to be more prepared for crisis situations. Maybe that we as a society need to take heed to scientific evidence and precautionary measures and advice that is empirically scientific, evidence-based, and realize that your opinion is not equal to fact, and realize if you're rejecting information, or you're rejecting the information because it's wrong or because it disagrees with your preconceived notions. Now, with all that being said, don't inject bleach into your veins.